Shalom, everybody. Shalom. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's a schlep and a half, as we say in Yiddish, Hebrew, Arabic, not Arabic, but yeah, to get in such heavy traffic. You know, I'm thinking every time they tell me about this horrendous traffic on the way to an Israel event, I think what happened to rush hour, the exodus of Egypt. I think of hours. So, thank you again so much for coming. We really appreciate that. And this is the first ever virtual Israel tour. Because usually when you come to events, you have the regular presentation with the slides, you go over that, you smile it up, go home, that's about it. But what we're trying to do right now is, by the way, with all what Cindy said, and thank you so much, absolutely, my real job, I'm the father of Ella. Trust me, it's a job and a half, much more than the Council for Tourism. Before we're going to go, I want you all to imagine that we are now on a plane. This is a plane. I mean, you can't hear the noises, but it is. It's a very quiet plane. It's not Al of Turkish, on the way to Israel. So what we're going to do on this presentation is actually being on a virtual tour to Israel. So we were going to go day by day according to the bus, and the routes are going to show you are real routes. The highways are real highways. We're going to stop in each destination and actually going to have a guided tour on that destination and what you can see around you. So what we're trying to do here is actually today to give you a perspective of Israel, the Bible land, which it is the Bible land. I know there are 5 Jerusalem in the States. It is actually 1 Jerusalem, and we all know that. But in Israel has a lot more to offer, apart from being the Holy Land. Wine, bird watching, we will see that as we're going to go along. Now every time we're going to stop, you're going to ask yourself, what is the Bible Comes to Life? Well, the Bible Comes to Life, you all receive 2 DVDs. It's a series that we made here in the Ministry of Tourism, and it's actually taking the stories of the Bible and show where they actually happened. Now, why we even think about this? For us as Israelis, when I open the good book and I read about Saul and David and En-Gedi, I know where En-Gedi is, and I know how it looks like. So for me, when I read the Bible, I can just go south to En-Gedi, look at one of the caves, okay, one of these caves is a cave of David and Saul. But for people outside of Israel, this is not to take for granted. Because a lot of people, when I tell you how it all started, 2 years ago, when I just came here to the States, I gave a speech in Antioch. Not Antioch. Antioch. I think it's Wisconsin. I don't think it's even Illinois. And one of the pastors came to me later on and said, so you grew up next to Nazareth? I said, yes, 6 miles from Nazareth. And he said, you know what? I never thought about the fact that Jesus grew up in the hills. And for me, it was a shock. I said, what? Nazareth is in the hills. He said, well, I come from the Midwest. The hill is not the first thing come to my mind. So this is why this Bible Comes to Life came to be. It is a wonderful tool for you to show, especially to faith-based groups. Okay? So what we're going to do right now, we're going to dive into the virtual tour of Israel. So, all right. Some statistics about Israel. I'm not going to read it, you can see it behind me. Okay? For many people that don't seem to understand or don't seem to know, Israel is a full democracy. Full democracy meaning you have free access to absolutely anything. For many people who travel to our part of the world, the use of a cell phone is not taken for granted. Because some countries block the signal. In Israel, it's the same, it's just crossing from Illinois to Missouri. It's the same thing. So we have full democracy. 95% of Israelis speak fluent English. Fluent English. All the highways, all the roads are in English. All the tour guides. Most of them speak just English. A lot of them speak much more than English. A lot more languages. Because we came from all over the world. All the menus in the restaurants are in English. If you are lost, bless you. If you are lost, you can find someone in the street and ask them where to go, they'll tell you in English. So this is a very, very major factor when you go to a client and tell them about a destination. It's kind of like a small version of the US. I mean, we even have McDonald's. We call them a kosher. No, we don't, but it's a startup. We can't call it kosher. And it feels very much at home. So this is just as a beginning. We haven't landed yet, but she's still on the plane. What's so nice about Israel is the size. Now, many people look and say, what do you mean from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem is an hour. How long, and I know today is going to be, I'm going to be stoned to death by asking you this, how long did it take you to get from Chicago here? Too long. Too long. Someone came to me and told me it took me an hour and a half to get from Chicago. Friends, in an hour and a half, I get from my home almost to the Egyptian border. So Israel is very, very, very small. Now, why we say that? Because I can tell you, when I was in my honeymoon, I took my wife to Tuscany. And we said, you know, when Tuscany, we might as well go and see Venice. But Venice is 7 hours schlep each way. So we said, you know what, in Israel, if you're going to drive 7 hours, you're going to end up in Istanbul. Why am I saying this? Because you get a lot more what you pay for. You're going to see a lot more sites than you see anywhere else in the world. It's such a small geographical land, such a small geographical country. By the way, you can fit the state of Israel inside Lake Michigan 3 times. It's pretty shocking when you think about it. So when you approach the destination, you approach your clients, you tell them you're going to get, you pay like you go to Western Europe, it's about the same prices as Western Europe, but you're going to see a lot more than you'll see in Western Europe. We'll continue down, so, well, we spoke about that. It's incredible to see the mixture in Israel. We are a very old country. We're about 3,000 years old. The establishment of Israel is 3,000 years old, ever since the time of David. Actually, ever since the time of the tribes. But the country itself, the state, is 65 years old. So you can go to a restaurant, which the foundation was built in the time of King David, that's the wine cellar, and you can enjoy your dinner in a building that was built 500 years ago, and then go up to the balcony to look over the Mediterranean, and that balcony was built about 20 years ago. And that's all in one building. All right? So, we have 4 seas. Now, I know after I came to the States and I saw the definition of a sea here, I don't know if the Sea of Galilee is considered to be a sea. It's more of a puddle in American terms, but if the good books call it a sea, who am I to make the difference? So we have 4 seas in Israel. We have the Red, the Med, the Dead, and the Galilee up ahead. We have 6 different climate zones. You gotta start, hold on. You want to tell me that in a country that can fit the Lake Michigan 3 times, you have 6 climate zones? How exactly can that be? Well, Israel is a geographical wonder. It really is. It stands right on the border between the belt, the desert belt, and the semi or Mediterranean belt. So in one drive, you can go to ski up in the Golan Heights, and 2 hours later, you're going to float in the Dead Sea at 80 degrees. The same day. I remember, we have here a friend, George Koch, who was with me in Israel. We had snow in Jerusalem, and 3 days later, we were bathing in the Dead Sea. So it's quite incredible when you think about it. I remember during the winter time, I took my car and went out to work, and it was, you know, people ask me how many years you're here in Chicago. I said, you don't have to ask me how many years, you have to ask me how many winters you're here in Chicago. I saw a huge sign saying it's 80 degrees in Arizona. Yeah, but Arizona is 3.5 hours flight. In Israel, it's cold, not a problem. Turn your engine, 20 minutes later, you're in the Dead Sea. In 1 day. So, we'll continue in. Well, okay, we just landed to Israel. Welcome to Israel. We just came out from the state-of-the-art Ben-Gurion Airport, one of the best airports in the Middle East. Actually, I think it's ranked number 2 after Dubai. And we are now going to the city of Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is the business hub of Israel. You have incredible cities. It is actually, Lonely Planet ranked as one of the best 10 coastal cities in the world. You can rent bicycles over there. Just you rent a bike in one location, you bike the city, and you live in another location. Israel is very high tech. Everything is high tech, so it's not a problem for you. By the way, you can use all major credit cards: Visa, Diners, every single one of them. Change currency, not a problem. Go to ATM, not a problem. It's exactly the same as going to Canada. We also have to speak English, as I said. It's not a huge difference. So then you arrive in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv has luxurious hotels right on the beach. It is a wonderful spot, after you land, after this very long flight, it is a wonderful spot to start. Even for the faith-based. Why? Because on the shores of Tel Aviv, right next to Tel Aviv, is ancient Jaffa. Now just for you to understand, Tel Aviv was established in 1910, which for Israel is recent events. It's not even under archaeological law. By the way, if you find an artifact in Israel which is dated after 1799, keep it, it's yours. Here, 1799, that's an ancient archaeology. In Israel, 1799, Christian event. It's not all over. Jaffa is 4,500 years old. It's one of the oldest cities in the world. And from here, Jonah sits there. So if you want, oh, and of course, Simon the Tanna. So the story in the book of Acts, chapter 10, when Cornelius called upon Peter from Simon the Tanna's house. So this is